What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Kevin Jacob here for Build Vision. If you guys are new to the channel, first of all, welcome. Basically, I'm just going over everything that I can to possibly teach you how to actually leverage your passion for profit. I'm going to go over so much with photography, so much with actually developing the things that you enjoy doing and making it so you have lifestyle freedom and you basically are your own boss, employing yourself and making it so you're just making more than, a comfortable living, doing something that you enjoy doing. Been in places myself where I want to help and use my background as a digital marketer to kind of leverage that, and by no means am I the best photographer in the world, but I do want to help you guys with my experience in sales and digital marketing and things like that and kind of mix the best of both worlds. So jumping into today's topic, which is basically going to be actually pricing your photography services. Now, this is a huge and key component when you're actually developing your process and actually acquiring customers, how you can conduct the service and how much you're actually worth. This is really determining, and a lot of things that are kind of in that fine print of not necessarily knowing how to do it, because it's one of those things where you could potentially price it however you want, so you don't know where a good starting point or even a good testing point may be. So we're going to jump into that, and make sure you guys stick around to today's video because I'm going to give you some tips on actually presenting the price and how you can be a bit more confident and feel comfortable with what you're actually giving to the client for that price, as well as some other key components that you guys are definitely going to want to see. So stick around. So let's jump right into it. I hope you guys don't get too bored with just this Word document, but it's easiest for me to see, easiest to showcase exactly all the points that I need to cover. Some things aren't as pretty as other things where I'm out on the field and actually doing it, but some are necessary and gives you guys an opportunity to potentially take notes, use the formulas that I'm going to give you, and just run with it. So jumping into the first actual session, the first actual phase is identifying the package in the session that you're going to do. It's truly a key component. I know it may sound redundant or kind of unnecessary, but you definitely have to have a clear and concise package and or session for that matter. Just making sure that you know exactly what it is that's going to be offered to the customer, so you can present that and give them reason as to why it is that price. As you can see here, exactly what the client is getting for the price, what is involved, what are you going to actually have to do to construct the offer, what equipment is needed, what is making it so that the finished product can get delivered to the customer, and kind of calculate all those areas. Make sure you have the offer planned out so that you can present it in a favorable manner and make it so the customer actually sees it and realizes that it's worth the price. And if not, then you can talk them into it with just explaining a little bit. Now, calculating the average expenses is going to be our next section, and this is very important because a lot of people potentially don't cover their expenses. So they could price a photography session for $200, but then gas to get there or something might be $150, and then you're stuck between actually manufacturing the prints and stuff. So some people can really get in the negative by not actually taking into account the expenses that it took to get the client, get the actual product or whatever service it might be, and kind of give them their value of time and the actual expenses. So identifying the actual expenses is great. So you have to take into consideration the cost for equipment rentals if you're going to rent equipment, cost for transportation, that gas money. You guys know what that's about. What that's about, honestly, though. Really take into consideration every single aspect. If there's parking where you're going to go to actually conduct the service, if there's lunch that you need to purchase to actually do the consultation or the briefing with the client, all these aspects can come into play, not only for, as you guys see here, goal purposes, the advertisements to capture, not only for the actual session and making sure that you're getting a profit per session or per package on that particular customer, but also just overall. You can set goals, you can set annual income, to really try to strive for something or do that. And in doing so, not only will you have tax write-offs and things like that if you're calculating your expenses, but also you're going to have a better idea of how much you're going to potentially make that month, that year, and so on. So it's really good to just take into consideration your expenses, calculate everything, and I mean everything, and all aspects of the shoot. As I said before, if you get annoyed with something, calculate that in, and I don't know, add a $20 charge just because you got annoyed, or just really make it personal, make it so that it's very beneficial for you. Moving into estimating your hours for completion. This kind of ties into the expenses aspect for the customer. Basically, it's a service charge, your labor fee, or your actual, work charge basically. So it's on average how long you think it will take to complete that session or that package. And in doing so, you're basically just going to take into consideration not only getting there by driving or the transportation time, but also conducting the actual shoot, as well as editing. Briefing could even be included, but actually the post edit where you're delivering products, the time to put the packages together, uploading to the gallery, all those different things you definitely want to take into consideration, and give yourself an average time frame for each project, each session, so that you are clear on how long it's going to take you to do it. So not only will you be more clear with your clients and be like, hey, on average it's going to cost this, they can kind of see that your prices are reflecting that and how much service you're actually putting into it, but also just for your own benefit, so you can do time management a little better and see how long each one actually and realistically will take. Your skill level and preference may determine hourly rate. So when a lot of people ask me, how can I calculate hourly rate? What's going to be something? Really, there are no guidelines. There's no set rules. There's photographers out there who are making $5,000 an hour, and there's photographers out there who are making $10 an hour. It's really based on how confident and what you actually feel, your worth. So what I always say is take into consideration your actual skill level, how much you bring to the table when you're providing something, compare it with other market value and see, am I better than this person? Am I worse than this person? And really be honest. This is one of those things where you kind of have to take your ego out of it and just look at it for what it truly is and see, am I a good photographer? Do I need improvement? And should I just, get some experience and continue building at a lower price point to where I don't, necessarily ruin customer relationships right off the bat, or, really just be honest with yourself and be honest with your skill set. And when you are honest with yourself, if there's confusion down the line with the customer, you can explain, no, I am, this skill set, I am blah, 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 and you can just explain and be confident in that. So that's another key point. Determine your hourly rate and take that average, of course, and multiply it by that hourly rate just to see, where it might be just for labor costs alone, not including any of the expenses or profit that you seek. Just really get an idea of, how long it's going to take and what your hourly rate could be. Desired profit. Desired profit is going to be huge because it's really going to give you, that's where you're making the money. That's literally going directly into your pocket. And now there is revenue, and revenue is the amount of actual income that the customer's paying you, or you're receiving payment for that actual service. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's profit. Of course, like I said, you calculate the expenses, you calculate your hourly rate, and kind of take into consideration those aspects. And your profit is actually your revenue minus your expenses, and whatever's left over is considered your profit. So determine your desired profit. It can either be, as I list here, a percentage or cash amount per package. So that per package, per session thing, once again, identify that, but then see if you want, for instance, if you want, like, you have a package that you are conducting and it includes a bunch of images, it includes all those expenses that are physical products, then you're going to actually take into consideration those. But you do realize that they're physical products and it's really going to be a lot of intensive labor. So you want to make, let's say $800 profit on just that work alone. You can take in consideration that direct number. I want $800 from this session, this package with this client. Each customer, I want $800 profit. And then you can kind of set your prices accordingly. Or if you want a percentage, then basically you just take the total expenses and hourly rate and kind of what the market value is giving you, and calculate a percentage of how much profit you actually want. And it's really just going to be beneficial to keep track of, making sure that you're getting a desired profit and you're actually doing things that are worth your time, worth your money, and continuously pushing to obviously increase that profit margin more and more. So after you plan out your desired profit, I would suggest totaling it all together. So, your expenses, the service payment, the hourly rate multiplied by the total time, of course, plus your desired profit. And what that's going to do is basically going to give you your price that you can kind of, give or take a few dollars, $100, whatever you guys are charging, really. And I would just really research some market value and see what people are offering in their packages, as well as how much they're actually charging, and base it on your skill set, your market value, and really whatever you're confident in. Honestly, that's the huge thing with pricing photography, is because there's no strict guidelines, there's no being able to say that this is charged this amount. And because in reality, all photographers are different. They all have their own style. We all develop things a little different, have our own processes. But being able to just conclude on what your style, your value, and your actual experience is worth, immensely going to benefit you and just be able to kind of catapult you into more sales and more confidence in the art of selling. Being able to really believe in your product and know that you're doing something to capture memories, capture things that are going to benefit other people, and in doing so you give them the price and sell yourself basically on why they should pick you as a photographer. So that gives you your price, as I said, and that's going to basically be your total revenue for how much you actually ask and receive from that client. And then within that total revenue, you're covering your expenses, covering your actual service payment, how much time, and your hourly rate, and then also getting that desired profit, whether it be that percentage or whole number. As I said, major keys, of course, this is the thing that I was going to tell you about at the end. I'm glad you guys stuck around until now, but really, confidence in your price. As I said, just be confident in your skill set. You are the expert. And a lot of times I've had people come to me, and some of our students really come to me and say, this person's really getting upset and they think that they should charge this, or they're trying to negotiate. And in reality, it's like, there's a lot of clients out there that would pay whatever price that you're asking. So if you're not open for negotiation, definitely I would suggest not negotiating unless it's obviously somebody but really that kind of ties into our next point, which is brand value. And brand value is huge because basically what the brand value does is it tells your customers what kind of service you're providing and where you kind of lie in the spectrum of all photographers. Now there's A plus brands, and then there's B brands, and so for instance, like the dollar store would be like an F brand, whatever it might be, but really it's like people go to the dollar store and don't expect it to be great products, or let's say for instance they're going grocery shopping at the dollar store. It's like they're doing it because it's cheap and directly because of that reason alone. Now if you want to play in that market, feel free. I would definitely not suggest it, especially with photography, with how much you can potentially earn with the actual ability to just leverage your style. But when people say, for instance, instead of go to the Dollar Tree and they go to Whole Foods, they know they're probably going to get a better value. They're going to get much higher quality ingredients, much higher quality products. And that's just associated. If you ask anybody, which one has better quality products, without even being there, they can tell you. And that's basically that brand value, how much you're actually holding, how much value your brand and your service is offering, and what price point you're actually presenting to the customers. And that's one thing you want to think of the future. So the sales and service aspect, if you're doing a lot of sales, what it might tell clients is that they can get used to you selling, and they can get used to lower prices, or they can potentially negotiate and talk you down. And so you want to be very careful and very cautious. Don't do a sale every single week. Don't do something that's going to push out a bunch of free products, unless it's that value and you're actually capturing emails or something like that for the free stuff that you're giving. But really, if you're just doing free shoots and stuff like that, unless you're just starting out and you're trying to gain some confidence, gain some traction, you want to take into consideration that sale aspect and that brand value, and hold yourself at a top tier price point or whatever you feel you're worth, and kind of not stray away from that. It's really, you are basically a business owner in the sense of photography. Even if you're working for yourself, you are a business, you are an entity. And even what I tell some people who are a little bit not confident or self-doubting is like, take that as an insult. When somebody tries to negotiate, they're trying to tell you what your service is worth, when in reality you're the one who's conducting it. So just really hold your value and kind of plan out a little more accordingly, instead of just presenting sales and 10% off, 50% off, anything really to decrease your brand value and decrease your profit. Now, referrals are key, of course, and so I would suggest, although I just went and said about sales, is something that when you are conducting services and producing more customers, more clients, you want to get referrals. You want to get people who they would potentially give your name to, or even just testimonials are worth it as well, but incentivize that. So you can give a sales aspect or pricing aspect for, it's like $20 off or $100 off your next actual session with me. And I would do that for repeat customers. I would do it for their friends or referrals. So once you have somebody in your door and they're purchasing at that given first price point, and you can kind of see that they're easy to work with, they manage and respect your actual time and effort and skill set, then that's when you can kind of incentivize and give them a little more sales aspect. But really, after a while, when you get those testimonials and things just really concluding that your price is on point and worth what your skill set is, there's no reason to really do sales, especially when you're building an audience properly and doing things correctly. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, really taking into consideration all the things that I said. Scroll back, write it down, whatever it might be, but really just hold your own value, hold your own worth, and have confidence in your abilities. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe below. I will get back to you in the comments immediately. Really, I am here and I get the notification, so I don't know how people don't necessarily comment back, but I will get back to you guys if you need any help or have any questions. And once again, thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.